This is the Morning Tailgate.
Deuce! Goodbye! Into the end zone! 60 yards! Touchdown Raiders!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker.
It's the trifecta for Bowers! His third touchdown of the game! And the Raiders with a chance to win it!
On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Fire up the cue! Grab a beverage or two and settle in. This is the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the silver and black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Friday, June 26th, 2026. Connor on the ones and twos once again. Welcome in, everybody. Happy early weekend to you. Here we come to you live, looking to get your weekend going right. I gotta be honest, Vinny, going through it a little bit last night. The U.S., the game didn't matter in terms of the knockout stage of the World Cup, but it was pure pain. The last kick of the game goes in the back of our net. Not a fan of that. I imagine you might be going through a little bit of it after I'm seeing some New York metropolitan news. What's your morning like?
Yeah, it was interesting to me. Yesterday was I know it was painful for them to lose, but it didn't matter. So when I watched yesterday's match, it was more just enjoying the moment and looking at SoFi Stadium, which has just looked glorious throughout this. I don't know why they're playing the final in New York. I guess I understand because it's New York. I just don't like that stadium very much.
Nobody does, Vinny. Nobody does.
SoFi Stadium and Allegiant, to me are the two best stadiums in the league, or really in North America. So looking at the spectacle of it all and just enjoying it. So I didn't really go in with, God, the Americans got to win tonight. It would have been great, but from what I understand, I guess some of those guys were backups, right? That they played.
Yeah, there was 9 changes. They were essentially the entire second unit playing against Turkey.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. Still wanted them to not lose in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I also saw the
big picture.
Yeah, big picture. Getting some of the younger players and some of the backups. You never know. You might have to rely on them at some point to do something special here. But the New York Mets, kind of as expected. There was no other way that they could have let that continue to go on. The Mets have just been, playing just terrible baseball, and it's ugly baseball, and they're making. There was a game a couple days ago where they had 6 errors. All 5 infielders committed an error. It's just gotten uglier and uglier and uglier, and somebody, ultimately was going to have to pay a price for that right now, and it was the manager Carlos Mendoza, and so they'll move on. It's just been a really bad year for the New York Mets. Like, it's kind of inexplicable, but guys just haven't played very well, and it was weird because during spring training, and I'm kind of a geek with baseball, so I'm paying attention to everything from spring training on, and just the level of sloppy play that was going on in the spring, and I remember, fellow Met fans were like, "Oh, it's just spring; they're working on it. They'll get the defense taken care of. But it was just like weird base running errors and just sloppy baseball, even during spring training. And you kind of think, okay, that's going to get squared away. It's spring, they're working out the kinks, but it just never did. And it's why they're in the predicament that they're in right now, and why they have to fire their manager. And I would imagine that's the first of many moves that's going to come because people like Steve Cohen, the owner, the richest owner in all of baseball, he's not going to really stand for that level, and he wants to win championships, and so that quest continues. And now they got to find a different manager, and who knows what else.
Yeah, so tough going there in Metland, but I think New York they're still riding the high. That is the New York Knicks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I mean that's half the fans are Met fans, half the others are Yankee fans. So yeah.
There's not just an overall glow of just happiness in New York. It's already all right. What's the next one? Oh, we're firing our manager. All right, move along. Let's figure that one out. So if half the fan base is angry, there is one other. So before we get to our topic of the day, there was a little bit interesting IG story from former Raiders safety Jonathan Abram. And I had to double check this because it was just very random, right? But on his Instagram story, Abram put, "I miss playing inside you," showing a shot of Allegiant Stadium. "Josh McDaniels ruined everything we built. He should be arrested for sabotaging the organization and going back to New England." Now, this obviously caused quite a reaction out of Raider Nation online in the midst of it. Once people realized, I think a lot of people thought it was a fake thing, but it was almost too random, and then you check, and there it is on his IG story. I don't know how else to react other than, all right, I guess that's Jonathan Abrams' fake. I don't know how else to view it.
Interesting choice of words to choose. I don't know. It felt when he said, "I miss playing inside you," and then you had to really take a second to notice, like, okay, he's talking about Allegiant Stadium. I'm like, Jonathan Abram, man, what are we doing on the Instagram story? Then it's all starting to click. He goes on to comment about Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, it was very quick from nostalgia to, disappointment to just pure anger.
But it shows the fact that, there's still some resentment from former players felt the way that fans still feel about Josh McDaniels. I mean, it's an overall lingering feeling that is still in the fan base and clearly still with the players.
Yeah, Jonathan is somebody that I got to know really well when he was with the Raiders, and there was I won't get too much into it, but just kind of a little family connection that sort of brought us together. And I didn't really know too much of Jonathan other than covering him, but then honestly, over the last probably half a year of his stay with the Raiders, he and I got kind of thrown together in a certain way, and spent some time with them, and off the field and everything like that, and ended up getting a totally new appreciation of Jonathan Abram, and sort of a better understanding of some of the things that he was going through, and some of why he might have been the way he was, whether it was in the locker room or everywhere else, on the when he was inside the building and everything like that. So I saw that, and I owe him a text on that one to find out what was going on. But and we've continued, over the years since he left the Raiders to kind of stay in touch, check in from time to time, and I'm going to definitely do that now. But I know that the way it ended and everything was that whole thing, and it's interesting. Not just Jonathan, but I've run into through my new job, and it takes me to other buildings and other places, and invariably you run into somebody that was part of all of that, right? That went through all of that, whether it's an assistant coach or another player. And that was just a really weird time. And one of the at least from the coaches that I've talked to, many of whom needed some time to kind of get it back together. Like that took years off people's life. That whole situation, and how it just didn't come together and how it didn't work. And I know some of the players went through that, and I know again, talking to some assistant coaches, how they went through that and have landed elsewhere, and have kind of a new appreciation for coaching and for football, because going through that, it was miserable. Quite honestly, there's no other word to describe it, but it was miserable. And I don't want to say that it took years off people's life, but it really brought some people to their knees, basically, and had them questioning, is this really what I want to be doing? It was that painful. And so it just didn't work. And, talking to somebody just recently about this, who was front and center on that staff, and it was like, man, when you think about some of the moves that were made coming off that 2021 season, which they went to the playoffs, right? They went to the playoffs in 2021, but it was such a kind of unlikely, miraculous sort of. There were some situations that happened in the quarterbacks that the Raiders played against over the last 4 games of the season, that 2021 season. That we all know it. Backup quarterbacks in one situation. The Cleveland Browns brought up a guy that was on their practice squad and hadn't been in their building very long, and he's the starting quarterback against the Raiders in a what turned out to be a very meaningful game. But all setting up for 2022 as if that Raiders team was a playoff team, and now it's go get Davante Adams, which in retrospect was the wrong move to make. The Raiders weren't ready to go make a trade like that. They weren't in a position from a ground up standpoint to go invest a first and second round pick in Davante Adams. But the point is, Davante wanted to come here. How are you going to say no to Davante Adams, who wanted to come to Vegas and play for his hometown team and play for his friend, Derek Carr, coming off a playoff season? Let's build on this. And it was hard to say no to all that, and they didn't, and they did make the trade, and it just wasn't the right time. And nothing. There was just a lot going on that year. And Josh McDaniels, I know that the fan base never supported him, never liked him. I always sensed that on my radio show that I was doing at the time, and so there's no honeymoon to speak of. And then it didn't work out, and it went bad, and then they figured out what they figured out, their assessment of Derek Carr, and then they pulled the plug on Derek Carr. So it was just kind of a bad situation. But in retrospect, they should have just kept rebuilding. They should have never traded a first and second for Davante Adams. They should have just looked at the situation and said, this is a playoff team, quote unquote, but is it really a playoff team? Because Vince, we talked about this yesterday. What did they win, 9 games the year before?
Yeah.
And let's build off that, the momentum of that. It was important to win 9 games, which it was, and it was a great experience, and all those guys that went through that in 2021, I'm sure they look back at that fondly. But what did it really get them? It didn't carry over from one season to the next, and that's why, as we were talking about earlier, would you trade 9 wins for the development of Fernando Mendoza? I don't know about that, necessarily. If I'm the Raiders, I'm thinking long range here, not just a temporary nice feeling of 9 wins, which I know that would be great, and I know that there's people in the fan base that would really love that. But somebody, I don't know if you saw this one on Twitter, somebody responded to what we were talking about the other day and said, I'd rather have 9 wins with Kirk Cousins than 7 or 8 wins with Fernando Mendoza. I'm like, I can't subscribe to that. 7 or 8 wins with Fernando Mendoza coming off a 3-win season, and him getting the experience that he would be getting in that, to me, is way more valuable than 9 wins with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Am I seeing it wrong, Vince?
No, I agree with you on that in that respect too, because I sit there and I look at. I think we talked about that. If it was 7, I think I even said 6 to 7 wins. I'll probably still take that with Fernando, because that's a building block. That means you are creating good moments, a lot of positive moments within a season with your face of the franchise, your number 1 overall pick. So I would definitely say that. The overarching theme of that one was the mystery bag that could be a really rough rookie season, a really great rookie season, or you just desperate for wins. That was more so gauging the temperature of Raider Nation, of where they're at with a Kirk Cousins in the fold, knowing Fernando is the face and the future of the franchise. And it's funny, when I saw the Jonathan Abram post, though, I kind of felt responsible, Connor. I kind of felt like it was our fault, because we were talking about a lot of negativity about hated players. Who does the franchise hate? What play? And Abram might have been listening on his drive passing Allegiant Stadium to Raider Nation Radio 920, the morning tailgate. I'm not quite sure when the picture was taken. It could have been a later gram, as they say. And who knows? Maybe he just was in his feels, and he was looking back. He was like, man, miss playing inside that building. Really hate that guy.
I felt bad with Jonathan. He came in with a lot of fanfare, and he kind of, if you go back and look at the scouting report from him coming out of college, it clearly explained who he was as a player, right? He wasn't your traditional go cover a bunch of guys safety. He was a knock him around.
It's a torpedo.
Physical. Yeah. And that's what he ended up being. And he ended up getting hurt. He ended up hurting a couple of his teammates because he was such a physical force out there. And it just was a square and a round peg, which, when the Raiders have seen a lot of that over the years with some players that they drafted. And I felt, getting to know him, I felt really bad for him, because, trust me, he heard all that talk and he felt all of that talk, and it really did mess with him a little bit, like the hatred and the whatever, the anger you want to call it. And so it makes you a little bit careful, Vince, when we do talk about, and I know that it's a fun topic sometimes, who's the most hated and all that. But we also always have to understand, and I guess this opens the door because Jonathan, put that post out there and we're talking about him, and you just brought up, is he one of the more hated Raiders? We always do have to understand, and I know it's sports, and I know that, as fans, you could be a fan and do whatever you want, but please always understand that there is a human face and a human person with regular human, everything, emotions, that's always on the other side of that hate and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to direct it at a particular player, and I'm not trying to get all moral here or anything like that, but getting to know somebody that felt that wrath, I would just say be careful sometimes on that, because what you think might be innocuous, what you might think isn't being heard or truly being felt, trust me, it is.
Well, just to be clear, I never said is Jonathan Abram.
No, I know, but you were, you know what I'm saying? Like it just brought up that, because I remember how much it took out of him.
Okay, well, I'm making sure I'm being clear. I'm not saying did fans hate John. He was never even part of the topic.
Yeah.
His Instagram post elicited a response of him throwing hate towards Josh McDaniels, which followed up our conversation yesterday of, for fans, which NFL players do you hate because of the rivalry, not as humans, but
right.
I get what you're saying, but I'm making it clear that was in no way pointed toward a particular Raider.
People were down on him. That's. I just remember all of that, and I remember talking to him about that. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm just out here trying to do my thing." It's like, I hear you, Jonathan. And he did. He also had, he felt like the media painted him in a different. And I told him, I go, Jonathan, is it the media or is it social media? Because if you go and look, and I went and looked at his timeline, he was getting it, man. There were people that were coming after him, and it was fans, quite honestly. And so he's like, yeah, I know, social media, you got to be able to separate the two. I go, no, you really do have to separate the two, because those are two different entities. So that's another topic, I'm sure, for another day, because it is pretty serious, John. And we're seeing players like, what do you make, real quick, we'll get to our question. Another social media post from Brandon Ayuk. Is somebody trying to help this guy at all? Because what he's doing right now, Vince, if you were the Commanders and he's doing what he's doing to try to get to your team, do you want anything?
I don't want any part of it.
Right?
I don't want any part of what's happening right now.
Does anybody near him, and I wrote about this in a column, like, hey, it's time for somebody that's close to him, somebody to try to intercede here, whether it's some help that he needs or some guidance that he obviously needs, because that ain't getting it done right there. That's not getting it done right now. Putting yourself out there like that on social media to try to get from one place to another. And I just feel like there's some deeper-seated issue going on right now. That can't be like his real plan of attack. Something is going on, and I just wish for him, somebody close to him, and maybe they've tried, and it's one ear and out the other. But that's the wrong way to go about it, and that he's not doing himself any favors. And if I'm the Commanders, I'm like, no, I don't want that drama. I just does it not remind you a little bit of Antonio Brown a little bit with and how all that went down with the Raiders? Like, what are we bringing into our building here?
I want to ask you, Vinny, just because you're a little bit more connected with some of the teams on the West Coast, with this whole situation with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, yes, he's running around flaunting that he has the money. We understand that this is a guy, like you just mentioned, is having some issues off the field. He still is a talented player. He's coming off the injury. He does have a relationship with Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn is known to be a bit of a player's coach where he can kind of help get guys in, work around them, things of that nature. But if you're the 49ers, do you even want to play ball with this? Is that something that you're even willing to entertain? Or is this getting to a point to where it's now getting ugly and you just say, hey, if you're not going to show up to camp, you're still under contract, sit out the year, and that's your money?
Yeah, well, number one, no, they don't. The 49ers don't want anything to do with him, and they've made it very clear. He's played his last down with the 49ers, but from their perspective, they're still holding on to him in the outside chance, and that chance grows less and less by the day with every social media post that he puts out there that somebody might want to trade for him. And I don't know this, and maybe I could do some asking around if if the 49ers have some understanding of some things that are going on, that he might be dealing with, and maybe they're not just kicking him to the curb. Maybe there's something going on there that him still being under contract might be able to help him a little bit. I don't know. But from a standpoint of do the 49ers want anything to do with him? No, they don't. And they've made that pretty clear. Why are they continuing to hold on to him rather than just release him and let him go on his merry way? And if somebody out there wants to give him another shot, then so be it. I don't really know the answer to that question. They've been very, very kind of guarded in why they're proceeding the way they're proceeding, because that relationship is over. And to the point where, and this goes back to there, he has to be dealing with something. I mean, you guys don't know the amount of money that he's cost himself in guarantees that they just said, we're not paying you because he wasn't showing up for his rehab, and he wasn't even when he was hurt. You still have to come into the building and you still have to take care of. Otherwise, you have maybe an understanding with the team, but he didn't have that understanding with the team. Like we need to see the progress. We needed you to be working with our doctors and our medical staff and our trainers to get you back right, because we're paying you a lot of money and you're a valuable part of this team and we care about you, but we need to see you. You need to be showing up. And he stopped doing that, and they voided the guarantees. So we're talking like over $30 million in guarantees that he's cost himself. Like, who would do that? What's going on that would even put that into your head? Like, hey, this is the right approach. So something's going on, but that relationship is definitely over.
Strange doesn't do it justice, because I mean, you could
turn on a dime, right?
You could. Well, I mean, a couple things here. One, the 49ers have been so open about willing to trade him and move him, right? But they haven't, and obviously you need a dance partner. But I do wonder, and I've wondered for a little bit now, even before these social media videos, I just wonder if the 49ers refuse to release him, less about the compensation and more so protecting him from himself in terms of just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how.
Yes, that's why I was saying. That's why I was saying maybe there's right. Yeah,
just helping him from himself, like keeping him there. I don't know how that helps. I don't know how that helps, but it feels like that's what they would be doing, because in any other situation, any other business, if you have an employee that's acting like this, I don't care what the cost is, he is doing detrimental damage to not only himself, but you as your company, your business, and your Brent. Like, it is a constant conversation every time you either step to a podium or somebody that knows him or things of that nature. You've heard players like George Kittle separate themselves like from him, saying, good luck kind of thing. It's just, you said, is it like, feels like Antonio Brown, feels like Chandler Jones, just like we don't know what's going on. We're seeing these cryptic social media things that you try and wrap your head around. Like, how is this? Like, what message are you trying to get across in a way that is helpful? And it is very difficult to find that way. I think I speak on behalf of everyone. Hope he finds whatever he's looking for in the most positive way, right? Like that. I think at the end of the day, it's a very weird situation. These things never end great when it's like this. Hopefully this is a different thing and everything can be on the up and up. But, all right. Boy, these June opening segments just take us on wild rides. Coming up here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio, 920-702-365-9200. Once again, we have a treasure trove, a bevy of gifts and giveaways to provide you throughout today's show. We will get to that with the Summer of Fun. Last chance for Battle for Vegas. Yes, we do. Seinfeld. Yes, we do. Smash Mouth.
Actually, we are out of Seinfeld.
We're out of Smash Mouth?
We have Smash Mouth, but we do not have Seinfeld anymore. That's what we had changed this morning.
Wait,
last
no
second.
Smash Mouth, but we do have Seinfeld.
No Seinfeld,
no
but we
Seinfeld.
do have Smash Mouth.
Oh, okay, I got that backwards. So there we go.
Battle for Vegas is good to go.
There we go. And we'll get to the topic of the day, which is an interesting one. It's kind of, how badly do you want the Raiders to win? That's really what the question comes down to. How badly do you want the Raiders to win? We'll give you the details next on the Morning Tailgate, but first.
Hey guys, since 1942, Sal's Mexican restaurants have been serving the best Mexican food in California Central Valley, from their award-winning salsas to all their classics like chili carne and chili verde. They've been go-to restaurants for multiple generations, and here's the great thing. As badly as I know everyone wants to go to the Central Valley, and it is beautiful up there, you don't even have to be there to enjoy this great food. Nope, you don't. You have to just go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com. That's salsmexicanrestaurant.com, wherever you are. Go online, put your order in. They'll get the food to you wherever you are, and this way your next party, your next family get-together, or your next tailgate is set up. If you do live in the Central Valley, maybe you're just passing through, make sure to stop by their locations. There's 3 of them, Selma, Fresno, or Madera. And when you do, ask for Sal, Carl, or any of their managers and let them know that the morning tailgate sent you. Or again, just go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the morning tailgate.
Welcome back inside the morning tailgate. Raider Nation Radio, 920 702-365-9200 is the number. A friend of the program, Garrett Podell, CBS Sports, put out an article this past week following the Giannis trade to the Miami Heat and bringing a NFL vibe to it. And basically, in this CBS article from Garrett, he projected 5 NFL stars who could force, I believe was the wording used, for trades elsewhere in the National Football League. One of the names on the list, and the most relevant to our discussion and our show, is Justin Jefferson, Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, 26 years old, going into his 27-year-old season. Currently, is projected to land with the Raiders. Now, I saw this article whenever it came across the timeline, and I was like, what? Like, what? But it makes for an interesting topic. Especially when if you look in the article, and I don't want to give everything away. I don't want to take everything away from his article, but basically a first and a third is essentially what would get it done. And this isn't something that would happen now. This is something that in the future, 1, 2, maybe 3 years down the road, you could see a player of certain star power like a Justin Jefferson unhappy with where he's at, wanting greener pastures, wanting a chance to win. Garrett Podell picks Las Vegas Raiders. Now, a couple things here to kind of sink our teeth into is, one, that goes to show you what the writer, Garrett, thinks of the Raiders 2 to 3 years from now in terms of what they could be, of what they're building right now, that a star like a Justin Jefferson in 2 to 3 years might want to play in a place like Las Vegas because things would be on the up and up. A lot of the reasons as to why we have talked about in the last couple months, why they feel like the Raiders are building something right. And that's not just us saying that. That's a lot of other people around the National Football League. But we've been talking about wide receiver. The Raiders don't have a true big-time number 1X. Not many teams do. In terms of the elite of the elite, Justin Jefferson will obviously fall in that category. Vinny, your reaction to said article?
Yeah, well, want nothing to do with it 2 or 3 years down the road. This would be something that I would be very curious about. Like later this year, let's say, and basically I would be talking about 2027. If Justin Jefferson is looking at the situation in Minnesota and there's no real clear-cut path to a viable quarterback, and he's looking at the prospect of wasting some years now in Minnesota, prime years at that, he's 26 years old right now, and saying, hey, it might be time to go someplace else. His contract is running out. I believe it's next year. So this would be something that would happen, I know in Garrett's mind, not 2 or 3 years down the road, but maybe as soon as the end of this season. So after he gets a chance to look at Kyler Murray and what J.J. McCarthy's prospects are, and kind of then, if he doesn't like that, sit down with the Vikings and say, hey, what's the plan here with the quarterbacks? Because now he has a decision to make. Does he want to not re-sign with the Vikings and play out 2027 and leave in free agency, or do he and the Vikings get together and say, hey, look, I'm going to leave in free agency unless this quarterback thing gets situated. How about moving me someplace else in year 27 when he's 27 years old, and the Raiders would be a place that I would like to go to. That would be the premise that I would be interested. Definitely not 2 or 3 years down the line. I'm talking about next year, maybe at the end of this season. So that's one. Number two, it's just so interesting because I told you about the lunch that I had this week with an NFL general manager, and we were talking about the Raiders, and he was mentioning how keep an eye on how they are going to be a magnet for really good players. You see around the NFL when you're hot, right, and you're in a great market, and you've got money, and you've got prestige, players go running to you. We've seen that happen just this year alone, where players are like, whoa, they're moving over here or moving over there. I don't have to go down the list, as a reminder. And the Raiders are going to be one of those teams. Now, the key is them turning the corner. They got to start winning. And once they do, school is out. And I know people in the NFL are saying that is a team that players that if they're disgruntled or want to go and leave as a free agent or, heck, let's get crazy here. Joe Burrow, his situation with the Cincinnati Bengals is, and I'm not tying him with the Raiders, but at all. But that's a situation to keep an eye on in Cincinnati because it feels like he's running out a little patience, right, in Cincinnati. And maybe he's going to pull a Matthew Stafford and say, hey, gave it all I had. I need to get moved someplace where I have a better opportunity to win championships. That's what Stafford did to get to the LA Rams and wanted to go to the LA Rams. They kind of all orchestrated that. The point being is get used to this because once the Raiders start turning that corner, which I believe is right around the corner, you're going to see more and more of this because I know people in the NFL feel exactly the same way. The Raiders are a sleeping giant when it comes to all that. They are the Raiders. They play in Las Vegas. They've got money to burn now. They've got the great facilities. They hopefully for the Raiders have this bright young star quarterback in Fernando Mendoza that's going to be around here a long time. And that becomes a magnet for players like a Justin Jefferson. So I would not rule it out necessarily. Obviously, Justin Jefferson has a lot of decisions that he has to make before it even gets to that point. But bigger sense, get used to this because you're going to see this more and more with the Raiders and getting tied into star players with star caliber, power, like a Justin Jefferson. Now, would I like to see Justin Jefferson on the Raiders roster? 1,000%. He and Brock Bowers, are you kidding me? That would be a nightmare for opposing teams. That's exactly what I've been talking about with that ex-wide receiver, Vince. If you can get a Justin Jefferson with a Brock Bowers as early as next year, don't you have to consider that?
Can you imagine if I just said no right now? Your reaction to me saying no to that? Of course, absolutely. But here's the thing. So the premise of this article is that this is a trade Justin Jefferson would be asking for in 2028. And so then the compensation he is predicting would be a first and a third for what would be then a 29-year-old Justin Jefferson. You're saying this is something that they should be entertaining as soon as the back half of this season. If that is to be entertained, or do I have that wrong?
No, I mean, no, you don't have that wrong.
Okay, so then
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it 2 years down the line.
Okay,
no. I need Justin Jefferson in this building, sooner than that. And the fact that he's going into the last year of his contract in 2028 is something that I don't think he's going to wait around. Like, give it 2 more years and then I'll ask to be traded. I think that if you're Justin Jefferson, this is the year to keep an eye on because he is going into the last year of his contract in 2028. So you'd have 2 more years left on his contract, and by the way, that's great leverage for him if he gets traded to the Raiders or anybody else in the year 2027, going into let's just say the 2027 offseason, next offseason. That I would 1,000% entertain that if I were the Raiders.
Okay, so then how does that change the compensation?
It would be if probably it's kind of the same thing. You know, you're a first and a third, maybe a first and a second, and I would spread those out over a couple of years. I would be willing to, if we're talking about, first of all, if Fernando, you know, this is another important consideration for getting Fernando on the field. But if he goes out there and balls out this year, right, to whatever extent he gets, however many games he plays, and you're like, okay, that box is checked off. Now let's go get him some help. I would be willing to give up the 2027. If you're talking about next March, let's say, I would be willing to give up 2027 first round pick, another pick in 2027, and 2028 second round pick. Because at that point he'd be 27 years old. We're not talking about a guy that's I forget how old Devontae was.
29.
See, that makes the difference for me, and that's why I wouldn't.
So
that's
why this situation would feel different to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, without a doubt.
Just because of Jefferson's age, or the Fernando factor, or all the above.
Yes, the combination of that, and also the work that the Raiders have done elsewhere in their roster. This isn't, hey, let's go get Justin Jefferson on an otherwise bad team. I am leaving room open for a lot of progress to be shown with this Raiders roster this year. You know, the Quay Walkers and the Nakobe Deans and the Tyler Linderbaums. Like, to me, they've done a lot of great work. The rookie class, last year's rookie class, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. Like, you're not just, you know, adding a Justin Jefferson to a barren team. You know, and it's another reason why I'm looking at 2026 as so important to get Fernando Mendoza on the field, because it helps you size up where you really are and how aggressive you should be in 2027 to get him some help immediately. Kind of like what the Bears did and what the New England Patriots did going into year 2 with their young quarterbacks and saying, hey, we feel pretty good about the quarterback. Let's go get him as much help as possible now after seeing those two quarterbacks actually play.
So you think a first and second would be all it would take to get Justin Jefferson in the back half of this year? That feels pretty light.
No. After this season, it would not be during the season. It would be in 2027, and it would be
still first and second feel pretty light, does it not?
And consideration. I said there would be a first round pick in 2027 and another draft pick in 2027. I don't know exactly what that would be, and a second round pick in 2028, and maybe you know, a little bit more. But that would be the core pieces would be a first and a second round pick. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I feel like...
And you got to understand that 2027, you know, and that it also plays into where are the Raiders picking in 2027. Like, if they're in position to go get the Ohio State wide receiver, then no, I wouldn't. If they have a, and that's why, by the way, if we are talking about, hey, is a first and a second round pick enough? If the Raiders have a top 10 pick in 2027, that is an enormous attractive would be enormously attractive to a team like the Vikings, because now that puts them in position, if their quarterback situation continues to flounder around, now they're in position to go get maybe one of those quarterbacks in 2027.
I was doing some research here. It looks like, and I'll ask you, would you say Justin Jefferson is better than a Jalen Waddle leaving Miami for Denver?
1,000%.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, easy.
This is the compensation they got for Jalen Waddle. Miami got Denver's 2026 first round pick, so there's a third round pick, and a fourth round pick. Yeah. I just recently looked back at A.J. Brown. He was just traded at the beginning of the year.
And real quick, Denver's first round pick was 20.
It was 30, pick number 30.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was.
So it was at the very end of the first round.
So a first, a third, and a fourth? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, a first, a third, and a fourth.
Okay.
And then A.J. Brown, he was traded for a 2028 first-round draft pick and a 2027 fifth-round selection. So a first in 2 years and a fifth next year.
Right.
And I would say Justin Jefferson's better than both those guys.
Right.
So I do agree. You're probably looking at a first and a second, maybe a first and a handful of threes, fours, or if there's a player involved. But I do think that is a viable market. I don't see that being out of the range of possibilities.
Jalen Waddle is 27 years old. Devontae Adams fetched from Green Bay was a first and a second.
Yes, all in the same draft.
And the first would have been early 20s, right?
It was Quay Walker. Wherever they picked, it was Quay Walker.
It was early 20s, right, Connor? That pick that garnered Devontae.
It might have been this 22nd pick in the draft or something along those lines. Yeah, 23rd, 20. Remember, they made the playoffs the year before.
Right, that's what I mean. So that's why it was early 20s. So it had to be 21, 22?
Somewhere
either
around
way.
there, yeah.
But either way, so if you talk that, I mean, you talk about a top 10 pick and a second, all of a sudden that value feels pretty spot on. Again, the sound of a first and a second for a 27-year-old Justin Jefferson sounds light. But you look at the comps now as we flesh this out in real time, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, you'd have to be signing him to a mega deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he'd be the next in line of the richest non-quarterback contract, et cetera, that verbiage.
Yeah, and it would get him probably, the last year of that new contract would probably get him through his maybe 33rd, 33. So you would still be paying for 27, 28, 29, 30-year-old. That's 4 years of prime Justin Jefferson.
Might make Kirk Cousins stick around one more year. Hang out with his buddy. 702-365-9200. You want Justin Jefferson, Raider Nation? Go get him next year.
Yeah, not
you
not
want
2 years
him?
down the line.
Go get him next year. We'll keep the talk going. But first, I want to give some tickets away. Battle for Vegas, VGK versus Raiders. Team Riley Smith versus Team Brock Bowers. The yearly charity softball located downtown Summerlin at the ballpark, home of the Aviators. This Saturday, that is tomorrow, June 27th. You've got a home run derby, postgame fireworks, 2 teams full of pro athletes and celebs competing while also giving back to local charities here in Southern Nevada. Be caller number.
Let's go with caller number 4.
Caller number 4, 765-9200, and a pair of tickets are yours. Brought to you by Finley Mazda in the Valley Auto Mall and Raider Nation Radio 920.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR 920 AM. Let's dig in to the morning tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back inside the tailgate. Here's the thing about Justin Jefferson that I keep gnawing on. How many other wide receivers do you think are better than Justin Jefferson? Just open think tank. And even if it's close, Jamar Chase, JSN, anybody else?
I would say
Lamb, maybe. I mean,
I would say. Yeah, I would look at those guys as a perpendicular line. I can't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. On that same level,
they're in that
how
group,
many?
yeah.
How many would you say though? Jamar, JSN, is CD in there?
Yeah, I would say you're
CD's in
looking
there.
4 to 5.
4 to 5.
I would say 3 maximum.
Okay, so let's just go with those 3.
Where would you put Puka Nacua? I know he's a little crazy off the field, but man, he can play ball.
I would put Puka up there, but there's some other considerations now. I need to see a better pattern of behavior from Puka, but on the field,
on the field. Okay, so let's say 4.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about on the field stuff because
Justin Jefferson is pristine as it comes off the field. Everybody that I talk to, he's beloved, and he's not a drama guy. This is a 3-star guy at LSU. Was not the guy at LSU, and I don't think has ever perceived himself in that manner in terms of the drama and the ego and all that kind of stuff. He is as close to a clean prospect as you're possibly going to be on and off the court, off the field.
Okay, but I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just talking about on the field. There's all but 5 teams that would be able to get an upgrade. Right? Because we're taking Minnesota out of it if they're moving him, and those 4 other teams, right? So all but 5 teams could get an upgrade, which is why, again, in real time, fleshing out that scenario of not only compensation but want to come to Las Vegas feels like that price will be higher than even what we're saying, just because if that is available, and now not every team is going to be made available, maybe on his wish list or trade request list or whatever it may be. But that's especially a guy still very much in his prime. And as you said, clean both on and off the field. Like there's no real reason to not go for it. I mean,
right.
you go back a couple of years, to right here in Las Vegas to the points we just made. The Raiders went out and got a Davante Adams before they felt they were ready just because the opportunity, it was too good to not do it. So how many other teams would pay a pretty penny for that same reason is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's where
makes it more difficult.
He would have some power in that, though, and this is why that's why I brought up the whole Raider part of it. Of players looking at the Raiders and saying that's a place that I want to be. He would have power because he still has to sign a new deal, and he doesn't have to commit to anybody else other than the teams that would be on the top of his list.
702-365-9200. Hour number 2 on the way here in the Morning Tailgate.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
There have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? I look at it as what a great challenge. We're going to be about the work.
He is back, baby! And the Raiders regain the lead!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Flying through into hour number 2 here on the Morning Tailgate. It's Raider Nation Radio 920. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Friday, June 26th, 2026. Stay with us, 702-365-9200. We still got our Summer of Fun giveaway, the word of the day. That's coming up in hour number 3. We've got some Smash Mouth tickets that we'll get to. Let's do it later this hour. Might have a mystery guest next 25 minutes. Never know. Never know in these dog days of summer, Vinny. You never know. Let's go ahead.
The mystery box.
Hey, I do love the mystery box. Which, speaking of, I really love that conversation we had this week. The mystery box or the guaranteed wins. And it kind of spurred another thought and something that me and my friends since we were kids would always bat around and give each other grief for a little bit. Testing our fanhoods, if you will. Fan memberships, if you will. Okay? So the scenario was always, it was always before the season, whether it was football, hockey, whatever it was. And whatever, our group had different teams for different sports, so it was a different thing every time. But if I could guarantee you a championship in whatever sport it was, but you were not allowed, or you could not, would not, you did not have the ability to watch, experience, see, really, really be part of any of it, you would just hear your team won. But again, you're not watching highlights. And again, this is the fantasy world that we lived in back then. This is well before where every highlight of everything was on every second of the day, right? But that was the scenario. How much of a fan were you? Do you want your team to win no matter what? What would you do or not do in order for your team to win? Or is being part of the ride what it's about as a fan? And more often than not, I found myself saying, I guess I won't watch hockey this year if it guaranteed a championship. But then as I sat there and would think about it, especially if you're a week into the season and you don't get to watch any hockey, for example, you're like, well, what's the point then? Where's the fun? So I guess we'll pose it this way, Vinny. What would you do for a championship? To be guaranteed a Raiders championship in 3 years?
I mean, are we so we're taking out the part where you can't watch it? Well,
that was my scenario. That was my thing, and I know we talked last night, and you said let's take out the experience part. But to me, that's the rub of that scenario.
By the way,
if I could guarantee, Connor, if I could guarantee the San Francisco Giants a World Series once in the next 3 seasons, guaranteed. Parade, all that. but you are not allowed to watch anything, experience, go to a game, watch highlights, or anything for those 3 years until the 3 years are done. Are you doing it?
Oh, it's such a hard question because it's like the fan of you wants to experience and be part of it. But it's also, if you really love that team, you just, you want them to be successful.
That's what I mean.
That's a big hell no for me. Not even it's not it's the easiest. No, I want to be. I've invested everything. That's part of the experience, is literally experiencing it. So no, I would definitely not even entertain going to that lengths. And actually, this story actually did kind of come true. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but remember when the Red Sox came back from 0-2 or 0-3, right?
0-3
to beat the Yankees,
yep.
and then go to the World Series. Well, there was this diehard Red Sox fan who it might be the morning of going into Game 4, right? Mm-hmm. He's driving in Italy, gets into a car accident, and goes into a coma. So at the moment of impact, he's resigned to the fact that the Red Sox are going to blow it again. They're down 0-3 to the Yankees. That's it for that season. He goes into a coma and is in the coma throughout the rest of the duration of the Red Sox, obviously beating the Yankees and going on to win the World Series. He experienced nothing of that. He wakes up, and in his eyes, he woke up 5 minutes later, but obviously it was a month or wherever long it was later, to come to find out that the Red Sox won the World Series. He had no recollection of it, and so therefore it was kind of meaningless to him. Thankfully for him, a couple years later, he actually experienced a World Series and was a part of it. So that actually kind of did happen, and he was left with a completely empty feeling. So if you can't experience it, no way would I sign up for that. That takes away everything about being a fan.
I agree. I agree. That's why my initial reaction is always yes, give the team the championship. But then that's when you're in that first week and you're like, you mean I don't get to watch the game?
Yeah.
I got to wait for the highlights after? Okay.
Now the question is, for me, I'll add to it. What would you give up? What would you trade? What would you legitimately give up in your life? I'm not saying your kids or your wives, unless that's what you want to do. But somebody who was it?
We might have to talk to Raider Ken in New Jersey. Our rebellious Raider who never tells his wife when he goes and buys tickets or watches the game.
It was Kevin Hart he was on it was a podcast and it was something along the lines of, but you have to give up your wife and kids, and he's like that was brought to me, and I'm like, is that really? I mean, is it that bad of a trade right there? So there are, I'm sure, some people out there that would probably gladly give up that to go experience a Raider or whoever your team is. But what would you be willing to give up? And maybe somebody would be willing to give up what you just suggested.
Well, that's the funny thing with my personal friend group. Again, my friends since I was younger. This is what we do to each other. We would just create pain for each other mentally, and then it would delve into this very question, which is a perfect segue. All right, well then, what would you give up?
Right.
What would you what would you give up, and specifically for Raider Nation, who invests so much time, obviously money, but just the I don't want to call it exhaustion, because maybe to some it's not exhausting, but the getting up in the garb, right? The getting up in their uniforms on game day, setting up the tailgates and doing all the work that creates the atmosphere that makes Raider Nation one of one, right? Like, what you already do so much to create what you create. But what would you do to see a Raiders Super Bowl victory in the next 3 years?
I'll throw it out to you this way, Vince. You're a Colorado Rockies fan, right?
Yes, Rocktober, baby.
All right, so I will guarantee you a World Series win over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
But that's it. You never get the Colorado Rockies never win another World Series.
I'll take
it.
I'll take it.
Oh, man.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Is that a wrong answer, Connor? Is that a bad answer?
Mind. That is in my mind. Yes.
Well, I don't see the Rockies ever given the money necessary to do what they need to do.
Because you're giving up. You know, you're going to live to 120 years old. You're giving up hope.
Oh, I am. Oh. Well,
yeah, whatever. Okay, you're living to 100 years old. You're going to give up the next 60 years of your fandom, basically, knowing that we're not going to. I can't sign off on that. You know, I just think that there's something. Yeah, no, I would not. I want.
So
want
you
the
like
other
the
side.
mystery box?
I like. I also love. You know, like I'm a Met fan. All right, and there's been a couple of years recently where they had great summers and got to the playoffs, and we ended up losing in the playoffs. But I still wouldn't trade the entire year watching those games with my son and living and dying with all those games and some real high moments during the regular season, even if it didn't end with the Mets being one of 30, however many teams there are in baseball, because I loved that experience. Like, if you're going to tell me, though, that this is it, you're never really going to be able to enjoy it again like that because you're not going to ever win again. I don't want that. I don't want any part of that.
To be fair, the Mets and the Rockies are not quite apples to apples. They may play in the same league. They may be, colleagues, so to speak. But they're not in. That's not the same. I understand why, as a Mets fan, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to take that. If you're a Rockies fan, such as myself, I think there's a little bit more
I'd be curious.
leniency. Understand if there's another Rockies fan out there. I don't know how many are out there with the overlap of Raider Nation Radio, but if there is, I would love to hear you and your take on it. I mean, baseball is a league of haves and have-nots, and the disparity between the two is as large as any league out there. And so I understand when you say, yeah, if you're a Mets fan, of course not. If you're a Yankees fan, of course not. I would even go as far to say, teams like, I don't want to call them mid-teams, but like the Blue Jays or a Milwaukee. Like, I'm not taking that if I'm those kinds of fans, but if I'm the Pirates, if I'm the Rockies or the Marlins, and you're saying I can get one more or get one, and I might have to take it. Beggars can't always be choosers, and at least I'll always know I'll have that one memory.
Let's ask that to Raider Nation. Would you trade a Super Bowl win in the next
for a Rockies World Series
for no more? You never win another Super Bowl again.
See, that to me again that is a different conversation in the NFL, because that is not a league of haves and have-nots.
So
the disparity of the change is literally year over year in the NFL. The waves of change. So we'd have to pose it.
Yeah, but you're talking about a team that hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 2001, 2000, early 2000s. It's been a long time, and it's been a long time since they've won one. You have to go all the way back to the 1980s. So, hearing what you're saying, I get it. Yeah, the NFL is this, it's that, there's parity, but it's been a long. The Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. I still wouldn't trade a Super Bowl in the next couple of years for them for never having it again. I wouldn't make that trade. I want to be able to go into every year knowing that there's a chance to win it all. So as much parity as there is, there's fewer teams that have won the Super Bowl than we probably think. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still there still is somewhat, I don't know why, but a have and have nots in terms of winning it all.
I say though.
And even the Mets haven't won since 1988 or 1986. It's a long time.
Well, that's what I mean, and that's kind of what sparked the thought, at least from my standpoint, is the Knicks won their first championship. The number was 53.
Yeah,
53 years, right? So that's an entire generation plus, right? That went without.
Right.
The Red Sox were how many years? There's 12 teams in the NFL have not won a Super Bowl. 4 have never even played in a Super Bowl.
So 4 of the 12 is what you're saying.
4 of the 12 have never even been in a Super Bowl. Like the Cleveland Browns have won NFL championships, but in terms of since it's been the Super Bowl, it's the Browns, Lions, Texans, Jags that have never even been in a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But again, the Jags have been to 2 AFC championship games since again, that's 96, right? So 30 years? Is that my math? Is that bad math? 20 years.
It's been a long time.
Whatever math is.
Yeah.
I just don't think you would get an NFL fan base. I could be wrong. That would take that proposition. A baseball fan such as myself is more likely, as I've already proven, to take that than NBA maybe as well. Like if you're the Charlotte, if you're Charlotte, and you could be guaranteed one NBA championship and never again, would you take that? See?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, so that's a flat no.
Because here's the other part of it. I feel like, and I try not to be a selfish person. Like I feel like that would be for my benefit, and yet there's another century of whether it's Rocky fans or Mets fans or whoever fans, because I want to see it. I'm gonna doom the rest of the fans for the rest of time. No, I'm not gonna do that. I wouldn't do that.
That's because you're a good guy. That's because you're a good guy.
Doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean like I mean this. I've had some of the funnest summers watching a really fun Mets team that never did whether they fell short in the World Series like they did in 2015 or went to the NL championship game against the Dodgers a couple of years ago, or another one that lost to the Padres in the wild card. As disappointing as those losses were in the playoffs, and they were devastating. I felt that pain. I could, after a couple of days, I could look back and go, man, but that was a fun summer. Like that entire summer was just a wild roller coaster ride that I also got to experience with my son, and that was another part. Like I'm not going to do that to my son, who's just kind of starting out on his fandom. I don't want to say, hey, you get to experience one, but then that's it. It just makes everything moving forward kind of a meaningless thing. So yeah, I can't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to my fellow fans.
You're a good guy, Vinny. You're a good guy, and I like the perspective you bring. 702-365-9200. Let's get out to the phones. Charles in Oregon. What do you say? Happy Friday.
Hey, boys. Happy Friday to you. So I wasn't going to call, but then when I heard the conversation, which I love, and I first want to say I appreciate Vinny's answer, thinking of the generation to come. And,
yeah, what a guy.
That's the way to be. Okay, so I got to share this with you. So my wife and I, this past March, we go to Hawaii. And you have the weird conversations when you're laying by the pool, right? Well, she's a Seahawks fan. She's not diehard, but she's from the Pacific Northwest, you know. And so I said, man, you don't know what it means, though, as a Raider fan, what it would mean to win another Super Bowl. You got to appreciate it, And I said to her, I go, you know what? If somebody offered me $25,000 or a Raiders Super Bowl win, I'd easily take the Raiders Super Bowl win. She said, what? Are you crazy? So the money kept going up and up.
Yeah.
She goes, She goes, hold on. She goes, if somebody offered you $200,000, I said, no, I take a Raiders win. And we got up to $1 million. And she basically said, I don't know who you are. You wouldn't take $1 million. And I said, I think about it, but you don't understand what it means as being part of Raider Nation to get one more win. I was raised in Castroville, California. I've seen my Warriors win, my San Francisco Giants win multiple times. But I would take a Raiders Super Bowl win over all of that.
See, Charles,
my wife,
this is fantastic.
Crazy, I don't care.
This is fantastic because the story that I gave of me and my friends of how we would play this game, everybody plays this game in a different way.
I have something to add too. Yeah,
real quick, Charles. So you got up to $1 million. So you got up to $1 million. You still said no. And did the conversation end and she was
moment.
just mad at you because she had already spent what she could do with that $1 million? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Well, my wife's awesome, so she wasn't mad, but she thought I was insane. And I said, "You don't understand what it means to be a Raider."
Did you get to a number
she-
in your? Be honest. This is a circle of trust here that we're in right now.
Right.
In your mind, did you get to a number that you were like, I take the money?
I don't know that. No, you know why? Because
baby
I
Charles.
invested in my
That baby Charles.
retirement.
Charles, I gotta-
in my retirement wealth.
There
So
you go.
I'm like, hey, we've got pretty good money. Am I a millionaire? Absolutely not. But darn it, I want that Raiders Super Bowl win.
I love it.
Yes,
I
I'm
love
insane.
it. Charles, I got a question for you because you mentioned that
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
Warriors fan, right? You're a Warrior
Yep,
fan?
yep,
Okay,
yep.
so we know the history of the Warriors, you and I, going back as far as we have. There was probably a point in time where we could have asked you this question, let's say 2011, all right, and said, hey, would you trade one championship with the Warriors for in 2012 and no more after that? You might have considered taking it, but aren't you glad that you didn't? If you go back and have denied yourself one of the miraculous runs that ever happened in NBA, you became a dynasty. The Warriors literally
Yes.
became a dynasty rather than a one and done.
Yeah.
So that's nobody ever, like, the Warriors were the Rockies, Vince. Like, let's face it, the Warriors were the Rockies. And
The Rockies
and
just feel like such an outlier that I'm just taking it.
But you
and
just
run.
never know. That's the thing.
I
You
agree
just
with you.
never know.
Everything you're saying, I agree. And Charles, thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. I agree with everything you're saying. The Rockies just feel like an outlier. So when you put it, I was like, oh man, that is some low hanging fruit.
Think of it this
and
way,
I
Vince.
am hungry.
Think of it this way. You could have gone to a Las Vegas Golden Knight fan in the first year of existence. Because, look, we know that there's teams probably still, right, that haven't won an NHL championship,
Bingo.
right? There's teams, right? And you could have, at somewhere when they got to the Western Conference Finals, let's say, and said to them, hey, would you take a Stanley Cup championship in your first year if it meant never again? Would you think that there would be Golden Knight fans that would have taken that bet and taken that offer? And aren't you? And if you didn't, aren't you looking back saying, "Man, I'm glad I didn't do that," because we keep knocking on the door, and we're and let's just say that you wouldn't even be in contention for any of that. Like it's not like you're going to go to every Super Bowl from here on out and lose, but you're gonna you're gonna get there a bunch of times. Let's just take that out. Like, you're not going to ever be a Super Bowl team again. Not even a Super Bowl.
I'm not saying
team.
that you're not bending my arm a little bit, because it's a good point.
Yeah.
I need some more time to think about it. But
Yeah.
it's a good point, because 10 of the 32 teams in the NHL have never won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
And 5 have never even been to a Cup final. The Golden Knights in 9 seasons went to 3.
Right.
Again, more blind.
There's no way you would have traded that. In retrospect, there's no way you would have traded those experiences off that have
And
happened
that's the
since.
key to me, is the experience. And that's the. Let's get one more phone call. Squeeze this one in, because we're up against it. See that now we're cooking. Now we're cooking right now. PDX Raider on the line. Good morning, PDX. Happy Friday. What do you got?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, it's
Good,
great.
good.
We're bringing
Hey,
championships everywhere right now.
That's right. Great topic this morning. That's why I got to call in. So, okay, look, I am going to go with if the Raiders win a Super Bowl, they can't win another one for 10 years, and the reason I would do that is
10 years. Oh, we said never.
We said never. So he's changing the rules. I like
I
this,
know,
PDX.
right?
I like
You know
this,
what?
PDX.
Okay, listen though, I'm 58 years old. I'll take it.
Okay.
Because I've already lived it.
All right, Pete Carroll.
I've already lived it.
All right, Pete Carroll.
Screw you, Raider Nation.
I was 6 years old in '74 when I became a Raiders fan, and I think, maybe the devil said, "Hey, you're gonna have a 10-year run like nobody's ever seen, and then though you don't win a Super Bowl for 32 more years." I'd take it.
All right.
I would take it.
Can you imagine at your passing millions of years down the road, by the way, PDX, people coming up to you, at your viewing site going, "You son of a..."
This guy cost
You had
us.
to get that.
He cost us
Yeah.
9 good seasons. He cost us 9 good seasons.
In PDX's luck, it would be like you gave that up, and then all of a sudden, this miraculous pill was developed 2 years down the road where we can live forever, and everyone's looking at you, you son of a. You never know what's around that corner, man.
PDX.
You never know what's around that corner.
I love it. Hey, and I like that caveat. PDX, thanks for the call. I think we're gonna make that the new caveat. I think, because forever's too long, Vinny. I don't know if you can count, but forever's too long. Maybe that's
the deal, brother.
Maybe that's a new fun deal. I'm curious how many people would take what PDX is giving out. One guaranteed championship, but
I love how he said, "Hey man, I'm 58. I don't care about who's coming after me."
I love that. Just throwing the numbers. 702-365-9200. Let's give away some Smash Mouth tickets. 2 tickets to the pool at Sahara. See Smash Mouth on the 4th of July, America's birthday. All you got to do is be caller number 3. Connor says caller number 3 wins a pair of tickets to see Smash Mouth on the 4th of July at the Sahara poolside on the 4th of July, celebrating America's birthday. Alex Eshelman joins us next from KTMV. But be caller number 3, 702-365-9200 here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
Welcome back inside the tailgate. The phones are lighting up, Vinny. The text line is abuzz. Eric says, since when has being a sports fan been about championships? The excitement of being a fan is not knowing. I don't want to know the future. Now, we're simply saying it's about championships. But basically, now we're pushing the envelope of what a championship would mean to you. Is really what we're trying to get at. For the Raiders, for any other sports that you may have, what would you do to see your team win? PDX Raider bending rules over here on our program, Vinny. We're bending the rules, saying, you know what? If you guarantee me one championship, I'm good for 10 years. I don't care what else happens the rest of that decade.
10 years, yes. I would definitely do 10 years. I mean, there's no question, but that's an easy one. 10 years is
so. What?
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's microscope it real quick. For Fernando, guaranteed Super Bowl for the Raiders in the next 3 years, but the next 10 after that, nothing. Which is basically
nothing.
Nothing. You don't know.
No.
You don't know what it is, but you know it's not a win.
Oh, well, if I don't know, that's a different question. We were saying that you don't win another Super Bowl.
Right.
It's not a mystery box. It's you don't win another Super Bowl.
Right.
Period,
but how you finish, you don't know. So you're guaranteed one Super Bowl in the next 3 years, right?
Right.
With the Raiders. But for the next 10 years, you do not win a Super Bowl. Are you taking it?
And Fernando's the quarterback of that Super Bowl winning team? Yeah. I would take that. Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
702.
That's definitely not forever, and it's only 10 more years. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's for everyone, but that's another fun scenario. This is how I'm telling you.
That's why I'm saying if you're saying forever, no way. No.
702-365-9200 is the number. We want to continue to get your thoughts on different scenarios. What would you do to see your team win? Joining us now here on the Morning Tailgate, as she does every Friday, KTMV's Alex Eshelman. A happy June 26th, Alex. Good morning. How are we?
Good morning, guys. Wait, I want to get in on this. So,
you're in it. You're in the game.
Yes.
So let's start with this, Alex. Before we get to Raiders, let's because this is going to be the true test. Okay. So you growing up, not football. Who was your team? Who was your professional team growing up?
Well, this is terrible because I grew up in Sacramento, but I was a big 49ers family.
Ooh, okay. All right, were you a Sacramento Kings fan?
Yeah, we were not a Raiders family, but now I don't say that anymore, and neither does my family. We are.
What about
your college team? Who was your college team?
Yeah, college team.
Arizona, because I cheered there. So I was very involved and very cheery about the Arizona Wildcats. And that is not a good college football team. I mean,
what about basketball?
We were not good. We had little glimpses. We had the Khalil Tate moment, where he made the cover of Sports Illustrated, and we had the Rich Rod, moment in his early years there. But everything else was not good.
All right. Well, then let's go basketball. They have a storied history in basketball. It's been a few years, right, since they've won a national championship, if I remember right. They haven't won one in a few years,
correct?
Right? Okay, so what if we were to say
the year I was born, 1997? Yes.
Here we go.
Been a while. It's been a minute.
Here we go.
Not that you're old or anything like that, but it's been a minute. So let's just. And I would imagine that you're a diehard Arizona college basketball fan, right?
You could say that, yes.
Okay.
I don't follow it as much as I did when I was cheering for them, but
we get it. You're a professional now. You're working. You still love the Wildcats.
At some point in your life, would you have given? Would you have said Alex, Arizona can win in 2019, but that's it. Never going to win again. Would you have taken that trade, or would you have taken? I'm taking the field. I'm taking our chances down, for the rest of the time to win a whole bunch of championships.
When it comes to Arizona men's basketball, no, I would have not taken that because I do believe. Because
she believes there was a path, right?
We're knocking on the door.
There you go.
We're knocking on the door. We had our best year since the T.J. McConnell, that whole era. Which was obviously 10 plus years ago. But yeah, I would have not taken that.
So wait, growing up in Sacramento, were you a Sacramento Kings fan?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a better test. If you could guarantee the Sacramento Kings one NBA championship but never again, do you take it?
100%.
Boom. There it is. That's my Colorado Rockies. But Vinny has twisted my arm. That forever's a long time.
It's a long time. And you never know because Alex, somebody could have said that to the Warriors were in the same exact predicament as the Sacramento Kings. In fact, there were many years where the Sacramento Kings were better than the Warriors. The Warriors were a hapless, helpless, laughable franchise for most of their history. And I know I'm not speaking out of school to say that. So you could have literally said that in 2011. Hey, the Warriors get one championship and that's it. In retrospect, I'm sure a lot of Warrior fans would have said, man, I probably would have taken that in 2011, but thank God I didn't.
That's true. That's a tough one. Vince, what's yours? What's your team?
Well, so my immediate gut reaction was Vinny, because I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. I got to experience the Rockies run to a World Series in 2007 in Colorado. The experience was unbelievable. It was awesome. Which makes me, as I'm going through this exercise, I don't know if I would trade that experience for much of anything because the ride was so fun getting to where the Rockies got, even though they didn't win it.
Right.
But knowing, again, baseball feels different to me than any other league because, as I've said, it's a league of haves and have-nots. Like the disparity between the top and the bottom is so much larger than any other league that I would lean towards taking that championship if I'm the Rockies.
Sure.
But hearkening back to my college days in 07 and experiencing that, and even though they didn't win, I look back at that year's awesome, and that's what it's about. It's the experience. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. We had another discussion earlier on in the week, and I know you're not a Raiders fan because you team, but we were asking Raider Nation, if Kirk Cousins could guarantee you 9 wins this season, would you take the 9 wins for the Raiders? Or would you choose the mystery box as Fernando being your day one starter? Same team, but rookie struggles, not knowing what that would look like. What would your take on that be? Guaranteed 9 wins with Kirk in the fold, or the mystery box that is Fernando?
Guaranteed 9 wins.
Why?
Because Oh, this is tough. I mean, because here's the deal. With all of these hypotheticals, of course, I want to have faith. I want to say, you know what, just have faith, let it ride, see what happens. Do I believe in Fernando Mendoza? Absolutely. I totally believe in the guy. But I think Raider Nation has been, and this is kind of similar to the Sacramento Kings thing, they have been loyal and they have been itching and waiting for quite some time. I mean, it's not as long as the Kings. I mean, the Raiders have had more success than the Kings, you know, in their handful of years for sure. But Raider Nation has been patient. They've been loyal. They've been waiting. And I think this fan base deserves guaranteed 9 wins. I also very much think that Kirk Cousins he's the guy, and I think that I would take that. Would you guys take that? Because I know I walked into the party late on this conversation.
You know what? I wouldn't, no, and I guess the reason I say that is if it's just because Kirk Cousins is just a guy for 1 year for the Raiders, right?
Sure.
And there's nothing of, okay, now we're really building something with Kirk Cousins as the quarterback. If he was 24 years old, 25 years old, yeah, I would take that. But he's not, and so I'm struggling to find what the meaning of that would be compared to how beneficial it would be, good, bad, or indifferent, for Fernando Mendoza to get out on the field and go through and get some games under his belt so that he can be set up for real success in 2027 or be in a better position after going through it in his rookie season in 2026 to be better prepared now to go really truly take the reins in 2027.
You know what? This is kind of diving deep. I feel like I'm in therapy right now. Like this could be, because it's like, okay, now I'm reflecting on my own answer, and I'm going, well, maybe this is like an instant gratification thing where I go, okay, yes, guaranteed 9 wins versus playing the long game and having a little faith there. So I like your approach. I like your approach.
And I would say this too, Alex. I would say that if Fernando Mendoza wasn't on the team, I would take the 9 wins with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, have a nice winning season, see where that gets you. But I just feel like he's such an important component, Fernando Mendoza, and his development is such an important component to everything moving forward, that there's more value in that for me than the 9 wins under Kirk Cousins.
I loved the scene in Behind the Shield episode 1, which they just released, of course, but they were in the interview process during the NFL draft with Fernando, and Spytech had a great question for him about his media training and how that has helped him or hurt him, or how it's different from how he actually is as a person. And Fernando had such an amazing answer. These guys are in these interviews with a bunch of different coaches and GMs staring them down and throwing a bunch of tough questions at them. And Fernando Mendoza had a really eye-opening answer, definitely for me, because he said, the media's kind of painted a picture of me as this guy who doesn't curse, or, doesn't drink a beer, or can hang with the guys, and this goody two-shoes type of person. And I really appreciated his answer because it humanized him.
Alex Eschman joining us here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Just a couple more. Alex says, again, we were playing out these different scenarios and games. We're trying to exercise the mind in the dog days of summer. There's no off season anymore, as we know, just slower seasons. And this is kind of that slow season. I'm curious, though. We are less than a month away, 3 weeks and 6 days away from rookies reporting for training camp.
Right.
Fernando, I'm not going to let you pick Fernando. I'm not allowing it. What is the one rookie you're most excited to see what he looks like in training camp and evolves into ahead of the regular season?
Well, this is a great question because we started with my Arizona Wildcats, and I can't just give you one. I have to give you the best friend package deal, Stoops and Johnson. I cannot wait to see them take the field. Obviously, rooting for them as a former Arizona Wildcat, but just love their story too of how they're genuinely close buddies, and this is a dream come true for them, and as it is for all the rookies. But to do it with your best friend that would be pretty cool. So I'm rooting for those guys. I'm curious to see how they're able to kind of impact the defense there. Who are your guys' picks?
Yeah, I would. I want to. Malik Benson, I think, has been intriguing to people in the Raiders building. So I'm curious, what he's going to ultimately look like. Zeke Massis, I know, has caught people's attention in the building. As has, by the way, it's Kion Sloan, not Sion Sloan, the outside linebacker.
Thank you. This is the off season for us right now, where we have to go through the entire roster and make sure pronunciations are 100% correct.
Yes, exactly. So not Sion, which I was mistakenly calling him. It's Kion Sloan, and I know that he's caught a lot of people's eyes. So there's so many. Kieran Crawford, I think, is really intriguing. So I've got we're taking Fernando out of the equation here. He's the ultimate one, but yeah, those are the kind of guys. Those are the players that are front and center on the notebook for when training camp starts, and keeping track of how those guys look come training camp. And obviously Jermod McCoy. I think there's a plan in place for Jermod. I think everything is pointing towards him being good to go in training camp. And like I said, they've got that plan in place. I want to see a player that I believe, if he is healthy and can play and can be out there for a consistent basis, is a dynamic player to keep an eye on.
Agreed. I'm excited about McCoy. I know that obviously he dropped in the NFL draft due to his injuries, and we all know that to prior health concerns. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. It'll be exciting to see the fact that the Raiders took a chance on him and see how he's able to impact training camp. I know he's obviously not a rookie, but I'm excited to see Tyler Linderbaum's impact that he makes on the team just this overall year too. I mean, it's been such a big topic of conversation, the offensive line, and I'm excited to see just his leadership and the way that he impacts the group.
It's Alex Eshelman, KTNV follower on the X at Alex Eshelman, and by the sound of it, can't wait for your one-on-one with the Wildcats feature that I'm sure will be coming down the pipe. I'm going to put this out into the universe. Actually, my counterpart, Taylor Rocha, and I want to do a dual. We have an idea. We're not disclosing it. Oh, yeah. You're not going to tell the fellow TV person that you're talking to right now, huh?
Who would steal the idea? Who would steal the idea, by the way?
Do a best friend piece. It would be really fun. So, no, I'm going to sprinkle bread. Don't they say, the kids say breadcrumbing now? Like, is that a phrase? I'm going to breadcrumb.
I don't know. I think I would, whatever it is, I'd probably say it wrong.
Well, to me, that's such a mid.
Okay, and on that, Alex Eshelman, everybody, thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate you. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk next week.
Thank you guys as always. Talk next week.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Vinny with the mid. Look at you. 702-365-9200. We got callers waiting. Text line is a buzz. We'll get to it next here on the Tailgate.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR 920 AM. Let's dig in to the Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back inside the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Big thanks to Alex Eshelman for partaking in our little game that we're playing here on a Friday here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Uncle Woodrow, though. King Kings fan here, and I don't know how many zeros that is, but it looks like 1 trillion% taking the championship. I would tell future Kings fans, you know what's after 1? Bad. Too bad. P.S. I'm switching teams when Vegas gets an NBA team. Love the honesty from Uncle Woodrow. Really appreciate it. And Gage up on the text line says, Mike Bibby, Arizona basketball legend. So that's a nice little crossover there for Alex. Coming up in hour number 3, we want to get more of your thoughts. I know some of you are hanging out on the phone lines. Don't hang up. That would be bad. Don't do that. We're going to get to your calls coming up in hour number 3. What would you do to see the Raiders win it all? What are you giving up? What are the sacrifices you are making to see the silver and black hoist that Lombardi? Would you sacrifice another sports championship, another allegiance to another team? We want to hear from you. We'll get to your calls. We'll get to your texts. We've got the Summer of Fun giveaway, which is set for about 25 minutes time. We'll give you the keyword of the day to enter for the Summer of Fun trip to Philly, Boston. 702-365-9200 is the number. What are you giving up? What are you sacrificing? How much do you want to see your team win? Get your thoughts. Next, it's the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio, 920.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
I'll just tell the Raider Nation that we have to earn your trust. We got to earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. Words will not do it. It's our actions.
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's hour number 3 here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the silver and black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, Connor on the ones and twos. Boy, we've really opened up a can of worms here, haven't we, Connor? What are you willing to do for your team's championship? What are you going to give up? Would you give up years of irrelevancy for one title? What are you sacrificing to get, whether it's the Raiders, the silver and black, that Lombardi trophy? Some fascinating answers on this text line. 702-365-9200. Don't forget, here coming up in about 20 minutes or so, our Summer of Fun continues, so keep listening in for the word of the day to text in to 702-365-9200. In the meantime, make sure you're dialing that number, letting us know what it would take for you to sacrifice for a championship, what you want to see, what you want to do to win it all. I want to start with this text before we get to the phones, Connor, and I've already lost it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. This is Gabe. Vinny, I think you'll appreciate this one. Okay. Because you've had residence here in Las Vegas, so you understand what this means, and I think any local would understand what this means as well. This is something. Gabe up on the text line says, I'd walk the strip barefoot in July for a Raiders Super Bowl win. On the surface, it may not sound like a lot. That is a long walk barefoot in July here in Vegas. That is, you're talking about third-degree burns for the rest of your life. You're talking about dealing with physical pain for the rest of your life. Because as we played the sound earlier in the week, Vinny, on Wednesday, right? Because it was Kirk Cousins of talking about how difficult it was to walk around on the strip. Because it's not just a straight line. You got to go up and down. You got to go different things. Gabe said he would walk the strip. What do you make of that?
No pain, no gain, Vince. No pain, no gain.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's as painful as that is. I'm still kind of on the fence if that's worth the championship, though, right? Do you? Or does that sound like that feels like sacrifice enough?
Enough or too much?
Oh,
you're saying.
I would say maybe not.
If there's repercussions, like you're going to probably be feeling that for a while.
Your life. I mean, that's that is legitimate third-degree burns. I don't think that's a question.
Okay,
that's sentiment.
Too much.
So too much physical pain. But
what would you be willing to give up? Do you have a? That's the thing. Is there
feeling in the bottom of your feet?
Do you have a prized possession? Do you have? Is there an amount of money that you would?
Is there a certain food you would never eat ever again?
Right. Yeah. Something
that would
those.
Be. Oh boy.
You could do it. That you could do, Vince.
Well, the first thing I thought of was pasta, and I was like, I don't know if I could ever give up pasta for.
Tommy Lasorda told a story of because he was a heavy. There were times where he was a big smoker and drinker, and obviously he loved his food. And he told a story about how, I looked at those cigarettes and I was like, it's me or you, and now I eradicated that. I'd never smoked again. I looked at that bottle of whatever it was and I said, it's me or you, and I was more powerful than it, and I never drank again. And then I looked at that plate of spaghetti and I was like. I'm powerless over you. Yeah, I never.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
I might have been linguini with him.
Vince, how far do you live from the station? Would you be willing to run?
From my TV station?
Yeah. Would you be willing to run to the TV station and back to your house if it meant the Raiders won?
Well,
every day?
Like how? Again, I'm not a fan of the Raiders, but I get what you're saying. Like,
let's say it's like 10 miles, give or take. That's 5 miles there, 5 miles back.
Yeah.
Like
one time.
Yeah, one time.
God,
you're willing to put that in?
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easy.
Then I think you could walk the Strip barefoot for one day in July. It's nasty and it's going to be hot, but if you can run,
that's permanent damage to your feet. I'm not talking about being tired. I could endure being tired for a 5 to 8 mile run or however long it is, but walking
would you run
it
barefoot and fall? How about that?
Yeah,
you don't got to worry about the heat, but you're running barefoot and you're running far.
So like the Rockies are in the race, and they're like, Vince, we need you.
You just got to do a little 5K for them barefoot.
I'd do that. I'd say you're welcome the whole time in my head. I'm thinking you're welcome. Rockies, welcome,
think it's worth it.
Welcome back to Rocktober. That's what I would be thinking over and over in my head. That doesn't seem as painful as walking barefoot in July. It's 120 in July in the air, but on the cement, it's even hotter. That's the more I think about it, Gabe, you're a legend. Way to take two, really. 2 feet for the team. Let's get out to the phones. Raider 66, our resident Raiders historian, has been patiently waiting for a while now. Good morning, 66. I imagine you have something creative up your sleeve for Raiders championship.
Hey, good morning. Not as creative as Gabe. I tell you, I am
That's
one of those
good.
tenderfoot people. Yeah, I have something. I have something covering my feet every minute of every day practically, and my feet, I would have to have them amputated, I think, after that. That would just be too much for me. So we're talking about what would you give up to guarantee a championship, and then you wouldn't get another one. Because and we have to change the parameters to your particular lifetime, because it's not fair. It'd be selfish, not fair to the generations that follow us. Yes. They can't ever get one just because of it. So you have to change that. But I started thinking. I'm thinking on the phone. Through all the everything. I'm going to cop. There's nothing, because if you do that, that means you have no confidence in the team. And, maybe 20 years ago, after the Jamarcus Russell debacle, maybe I might have considered it. But I have confidence that this group that we are about to have go into training camp here, with Kubiak leading the way, and Mendoza, and Genty, and Bowers, and Max, I have confidence that they could win more than one. What if you did this to the Chiefs in 2018?
Exactly.
Right before Mahomes got there. I mean, they went 50 years. They were in Super Bowl IV and then went back in 54. Maybe the Jets, they haven't been there since Super Bowl III, so maybe they would do something like this. Or the Vikings, they were in 4 of the first 11 Super Bowls, haven't been there since. So I have confidence that these guys are going to accomplish it. Oh, the Knicks, how about the Knicks? They had because as a fan, the joy and the fun is the journey. I mean, getting there. And then I might have done this between 67 and 77. Those 11 years, the Raiders were at 9 championship games and only got to 1 Super Bowl. They would have said, hey, let's get one more. Maybe sell something off for that. But it's the journey as a fan that you love. I mean, the Raiders are the epitome of that, winning it as the first wild card team back in 1980. But, I may have done something opposite of this after the Super Bowl 18 because we dominated the Redskins, who were a very good team. They set the record for points scored at that time. And we just
beat the Raiders that year. Yep.
They beat the Raiders during the regular season, yeah. And you were at that game, right, Vinny?
I was, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of big plays. But that team was so good, and this is one of the few times I was ever getting, on the verge of being belligerent or, kind of obnoxious. I was telling all my friends, I'll take the Raiders against the field in 84. I said, we are going to win back-to-back championships. We just dusted everybody so badly. And luckily I didn't take any of their bets because we're still waiting for it. But I almost did a Curse of the Bambino type thing, where I was so obnoxious about it that we did that. But, you don't want to be the Cubs, was 104 years in between and 90-some years for the Red Sox. So I think that if I have confidence that they're going to win one coming up soon, and I don't want to shut them off from not winning again by making a deal with the devil, because I think that we're going to win multiple this year. So, see, the new Raider fans may take something on this because they haven't never seen it. My group has seen it. Get the pieces together, and I see that happening. I see that coming, and I just can't wait for the new fans to see it and experience it like I did. Thanks for the time, guys.
Thanks, 66. Appreciate you, as always.
The Chiefs are a great example. The Patriots are a great example of, are you really willing to trade one for the possibility of multiple and constant trips, and being in contention? Because I think that we need to add that. Like this would be a little bit disingenuous if you said, but you'll get to a whole bunch of Super Bowls. You just won't win them. I mean, I think people would absolutely trade that, right? We're saying that you're not even going to sniff the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's it.
Yeah.
You got your one. And that's
enjoy it. Drink it in.
Yeah, you're going to
make it last.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And because you don't know, you never know what's right around that corner. And why shortchange yourself? You didn't we could have looked at the Golden Knights that first year and say, what an anomaly! It's never going to. That's just freak luck.
Bingo.
They're going to go right back to being your typical expansion franchise, and it's going to take them years to come back to that. And that's why I remember asking a friend of mine that question. Like, if you're a Golden Knight fan, would you just take it, win it now, your first year in existence, and never win it again? And I couldn't see myself doing that. Like, I was like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't trade one for in that first year.
That is also a fascinating scenario, to take one championship your first year and then never again. That feels even more than forever.
It's ominous. Yeah,
that's no good. Up on the text line, just have to address this. Raider B says, wait, what do you mean you're not a Raiders fan, Vince? Well, I cover the team on a daily basis. I'm not allowed to be a fan. Do I have friends on the team, in the organization? Absolutely. Do I hope they are successful? 100%. But I cannot be a fan of any team that I cover. So that is
right.
just to make that clear.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Q is a Raider fan. He's able to cover it and do an excellent job from his perspective.
Bingo.
But we're paid journalists, for other entities that cover the Raiders, and you quickly find out it's hard to be a fan in that kind of a setting anyway. I mean, it's just there's so much work and there's so much diving into it, and it takes away from you being a fan of another NFL team. Like, I really don't root for an NFL team anymore. I used to, but I can't anymore because I'm just so dialed in on the teams now that I cover, and specifically the Raiders. So yeah, we're not fans. That's just not. And I don't think if you're a Raider fan, you don't want to tune in to hear just Raider fans talk all the time. You want different perspectives. You want a journalist's perspective. You want, Vince is a journalist as well, covering it from a TV standpoint. I cover it from a written standpoint, newspaper standpoint. So I would think that most fans want a wide range of perspectives on their team.
I always say this, though. People always ask me, how are you not a fan? Well, I said, my job does become easier when the team wins.
Of course.
So I'm in favor of that, but I to the truest extent of being a fan and doing, that's part of the gig. You can't cheer in the press box, what I mean? Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. Still cheer for the people, cheer for the successes of the organization. Again, because we know a lot of those people, personally now, after covering the team for however many years.
For sure. And you brought up a good point. It's far easier to cover a good team. And I get into this argument, or discussion, I should say, with people all the time. The media feeds off of negative stuff. You'd be surprised what the numbers look like when a team's not doing good compared to when they are doing good. Yeah. And it's just a much better, like I've covered 90 lost Dodger teams and 100 win Dodger teams. You cannot even put into perspective how miserable it is to cover a baseball team, a bad baseball team, on a day-to-day basis compared to a really good. In fact, when during those years where the Dodgers were really bad, and I was part of the coverage for the newspaper, so I was out there pretty often. I'd sometimes go, if a winning team was coming into Dodger Stadium, I'd go over to the other clubhouse just to experience what it feels like. There's nothing like the electricity of a baseball team going down the stretch in a pennant stretch, and how they just bounce into the stadium. There's energy in the locker room, in the clubhouse. You go to the losing clubhouse, the team where it's the middle of August and you're completely out of it and it's just miserable. You feel that. And last thing, and I know Vince, this, your numbers I'm sure show the same thing. Yeah, there's something to be said sometimes about drama. Drama's going to sell, and that's going to get some hits, if you want to call it that. But by and large, the hits are when the way more hits when the team is doing good compared to when it's doing bad.
Yeah, and just one last, just to button that up. Everyone thinks that if you're not a fan, that means you hate. Right? It's neither. It's you cover as you cover. Again, as I said, my job becomes so much easier when I'm covering a winning team, and it's easy. Not maybe easier is not the right word, but telling those stories. Everybody likes to celebrate. Local fans like to celebrate their team doing well. Right? And so it's easier to tell those stories. The job gets a little harder when you have to ask the tougher questions in certain situations, which is also part of the gig. But I just wanted to make sure that was just cleared up a little bit. Let's see. Where there was one here. Where is it? Oh, there. So PDX Raider, we were up against it, so we had to cut off PDX Raider, but he popped back on the text line, gave us another caveat. Vinny, you ready?
Okay, all right, yeah.
I like this. I talked to Connor about this during the break, and I think we're big fans of this scenario.
Okay.
I was going to ask you guys about this scenario. Even though we're all diehard Raider fans, we are also probably fans of many, maybe even diehard fans of other professional teams or maybe a college team. So the question is, would you sacrifice any one of your other favorite teams forever if the Raiders could become a Super Bowl contending team again?
Would you? Okay, one more time, read it. Would you sacrifice your fandom?
So no. Just sacrifice the success of another pro team. So if you're a Raiders fan, and let's just say you're I have an example right here. Funky says on the text line, I would give up another Dodgers World Series for a Raiders Super Bowl win.
Well, yeah, I Funky, we're right there on the same page, because trust me, when I was younger and the Lakers were we're doing really good. I played that game before. Like, would I trade one of those championships for the Lakers for a Vikings Super Bowl or something along those lines?
Yeah.
So you could definitely go down that, and obviously he's dealing from a power of
strength.
Yeah. But I'll ask Funky this. I'll ask Funky this. Back it up 15 years.
Ooh.
And your last championship was 1988 at the expense of the A's, but we all know that the Mets were the best team in baseball that year, and the Dodgers clipped us in 7 games after we had gone, I think it was 11-1 against them in the regular season in '88. And then our one of our star left pitchers basically severs 2 of his fingers in a gardening accident. Right, Bobby Ojeda, who owned the Dodgers, right before that series, and he's out. So we're down a pitcher, making a lot of excuses for losing in 7 games, but it is what it is. Anyway. Would you have 10 years ago, when it had been since 1988, when the Dodgers? It's great to have that conversation now, Funky, and I respect it. But you were in that same position about 10 years ago. Would you trade everything that you've experienced right now for the Dodgers for just one in the let's say 3 years ago compared to what you've been experiencing now? I would love to hear the answer to that question. Yes, I have played that game. Would I trade one of the Laker championships for a Notre Dame, national championship? Something along those lines. And I've thought about it for sure.
So, what was the outcome?
Thankfully, I don't have the power. No, I wouldn't, because then you're robbing me of some great memories that I had when especially when I was working for them when they won. Those were just magical. So I wouldn't trade those experiences for Notre Dame winning a national championship. So Notre Dame, you got to do it on your own, which I believe is actually going to happen here pretty soon. I'm glad I didn't make that trade because here's Notre Dame. Now all of a sudden they're firmly in the mix and reloading and recruiting like nobody's business under Marcus Freeman, and I feel like they're set up for a nice little run of success here.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument here, all of us are lifelong Raider fans, and the question was posed to us. I know a lot of us are also football fans of college. Would you be willing to never watch college football again if it meant the Raiders brought home a championship?
Forever?
Yes.
Can never watch college football?
You could never watch college football again, but you could say that you got to be there along for the ride, and you got to be there for your team winning a Super Bowl.
Am I in the stadium?
You would be. You are a TV guy and radio, so I'm sure you got the access.
In this scenario, I'm not a TV. I'm just a fan.
Just a fan?
I'm just a fan.
You're the average fan. You've got to watch along the season.
Wow.
Maybe you got to afford 2 or 3 games throughout the regular season, maybe one postseason, but you're the average fan.
Oh man, college football's just so.
Here's one reason why I wouldn't do it.
What would I do on Saturday?
Because that's what I was just thinking, and all the times and all the times that I got out of going to the Pottery Barnery or some random
Bed Bath & Beyond,
some random thing around the house that I got out of because I can't. There's a slew of college games. So just from that perspective, hell no,
man.
That's got
never get to watch college football. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do. Yeah, I don't. I think that's an interesting scenario. Omar up on the text line says, "I'm a Raiders and San Francisco Giants fan.
Yeah,
I would give up watching the Giants forever to see one Raiders Super Bowl." Omar in the Bay.
Careful, Omar.
That is strong.
Man.
But I bet you there's a lot of Raider fans who would feel the same way.
Who else is in Omar's boat right now? In McCovey Cove right now? Don't get to see the game. You can sit in the boat in McCovey Cove.
To be fair, if I again put yourself in the situation of Omar, I think I would probably take that trade off. I've got to see the Giants win 3 already. I've never seen the Raiders win.
Wow. All right, so here's the thing. We'll throw because we have Raider Nation is very interesting in that you have your Raider, Warrior, Giants fans,
right,
and you have your Raider, Laker, Dodger fans,
right.
Would either of those fractions, either of those groups, give up either the Dodgers or the Lakers or the Giants or the Warriors for one Super Bowl for the Raiders?
Wow.
It's tough, man. Come on. What are you going to do in your summers other than watch Dodger baseball or Giants baseball?
They're going to listen to Raider Nation Radio 920. Talk about that Super Bowl win for the Raiders.
See every little mini camp, training camp video that's posted.
Man, that's tough.
It's a hard one.
Omar coming in strong.
I will go out on the limb and say I'm on the side of Omar for this one. I would side with Omar.
Wow. Huh. Okay. And that's a Giants fan right there.
So no more Giants. Yeah, well,
no more Giants baseball.
I mean, I'm calling BS because it's easy to. Here's why. Here's
called
why.
You a liar.
Here's why.
Omar,
you're being a prisoner. Not Omar.
Just Connor.
Connor, you're being a prisoner of the moment because I guarantee you that if you were right now in the thick of a pennant race, and you and the Giants are flying high, and the Giants are playing great baseball, which they aren't, by the way. You would not be saying
that one in.
Yeah, you're being a prisoner of the moment. You're like, yeah, I could give up on those losers right now. Heck yeah, I could get. But if they were winning right now, I doubt you would say that.
It'd be hard.
All right, yeah. let's pick up this combo on the other side. But speaking of strong takes, it's time for our summer of fun. Raider Nation Radio 920 Terribles bringing back the summer of fun as we celebrate America 250. You have a chance for an escape. Some great adventures: Hawaii, the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Yellowstone National Park, Southern California theme park trips, a great Mississippi River cruise, or heck, even a staycation. If you don't want to do any of that, you can just take the cash. $3,000 in total. It's your choice. All you got to do is listen for the keyword of the day. Text it in 702-365-9200. That gets you in to win because summers are meant to be fun. The Summer of Fun brought to you by Terribles, Raider Nation Radio 920. This week's Summer of Fun trip, last call for the Boston-Philly combo trip. 5 nights, hotel stay, airfare included to see the historic cities that are Boston and Philadelphia. All you got to do is text in the keyword of the day, and the keyword of the day is strong. S-T-R-O-N-G. Strong. Text in the word strong. 702-365-9200. You are entered for a chance to win the Summer of Fun trip right here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the Morning Tailgate.
Welcome back inside the tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. The topic of the day, the conversation piece we are having that is kind of melded into a bunch of different scenarios, which is great. Absolutely love it. But what is, in a nutshell, what would you do? What would you sacrifice? What are you willing to give up for a championship for your team to see the silver and black hoist that Lombardi? Now, Jesse, following up our buddy Omar, says, I would give up all the Warriors, Giants, and Sharks to see the Raiders come back to Oakland and win a Super Bowl. So he'd give up every other team that he watches, the caveat being the Raiders win the Super Bowl, but back in Oakland. That's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
That, out of the not unfortunately, obviously, they're doing great in Las Vegas in many ways, and I think their ship is just getting ready to really sail on the high seas. But yeah, that's.
Norma says, I would definitely not watch any college games or baseball games to see the Raiders in a Super Bowl. Go Raiders.
Ooh, in a Super Bowl. Okay.
Now, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, I'm guessing Norma's just not a big baseball or college football fan. Yeah. Maybe making it a little bit easier.
Like that might be like me saying I would give up soccer.
Yeah.
Or even hocky. I just don't.
Okay.
I'm
I don't know why you got to do that. I don't know why you got to do that.
It's just
you can just keep that last one to yourself.
There's just so much room in my brain.
Why are you trying to hurt me at the end?
Yeah, I mean, a little hostile this morning.
Yeah,
you threw the dig in at the Giants too.
So angry.
It
was an unnecessary shot, Vinny, and you know it.
My Mets are the worst team in baseball. What do I have nothing to hide right now?
Oh, that's why. That's the epicenter. That's because the news.
No, I mean, like it would be easier for me right now to say I'd give up the Mets because they're at their one of their lowest points, as are the Giants. I'm being real. But if either of our teams were right now in first place, headed to a division championship and hopefully the World Series, we would not be having that conversation, Connor.
Connor also mentioned that his dad would be very upset with him if he heard what he said about giving up the Giants.
I said if I clipped this and sent this to my dad right now, there's a good chance he'd probably not invite me home for the holidays.
You would get disowned. Here's what's so great about this conversation, I think, anyway, is because it's not going to happen. So you can honestly say anything. Connor, you can say anything. I would love it if we did actually have the power to make this happen, because then the rubber would hit the whatever you call that, whatever that analogy is, because there's no going back. If we actually did have the power to make it happen, whatever your wish might be, whatever your trade-off might be, I would love to see how people really truly would react. I mean, because right now it's just words.
Poor Gabe's walking the strip right now, or not yet, in a couple days. He's walking the strip.
And to me, he gets off easy. That's the easy one. You're somebody else talking about giving up his Giants fandom and everything else that he roots for that gets him through days and weeks and months in between the football season. You got to remember that part of it too. Like, what are you going to be doing when it's off season?
I was just thinking about Saturdays of college football. I couldn't imagine what I'd be doing on Saturday.
People ask me all the time. I'm sure you get this question, Vince. What's your favorite sport?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever's on at that particular time. Like, I don't.
The one that's happening today.
Yeah, the great thing is you don't have to make that decision. I don't have to choose between one or the other. To be honest with you, I don't. And maybe there's a day where, hey, I can't watch that live because I'm doing this live, but I could always follow it. And especially now with your phones and everything like that, you don't have to make that decision. So there you go.
Funky says, yes, I would trade a Dodgers championship for a Raiders Super Bowl since I've been a member of Raider Nation for a lot longer and a bigger fan of the Raiders. Funky responding to the convo. Richard II in Oakland. Boy, that sounds regal.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we've had Richard II in Oakland up on the text line?
Is he going to give up his throne?
I don't know. Well, let's see. I'm like Omar. Grew up in the Bay, diehard Raiders fan, but also a huge Giants fan because that's the pastime of my father and I. And in the summers when I was young, both of us going to every Raider game when they came back to Oakland has made me a Raider fan above all. But I couldn't give up the Giants.
Yeah.
Also, go Sharks. Let's make some big moves today. Greer, I'm looking at what you're doing. It's the NHL draft today.
So let's
he's
go
talking
back
about
to
the Sharks doing some big things.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Go ahead.
Going back to Funky, now, and we love you, Funky, so we're just having fun. Now we find out that he's just kind of a casual Dodger fan. So he's sacrificing the Dodgers on his casual fanness because he's a much bigger fan of the Raiders. Just like there has to be a diehard Dodger and Raider fan out there. And would you make that? He's like, yeah, you kind of snuck that in. By the way, I'm really not that big of a Dodger fan, to be honest with you. So
okay, so a couple follow-ups.
So here you go.
Couple follow-ups here, okay? Omar in the Bay says, Connor, he's right. Connor, you are right. It does make it easier to give up the Giants because I saw 3 World Series wins. But I might give up all my sports teams to watch the Raiders win a Super Bowl. I've been through too much pain as a Raiders fan. Had season tickets in Oakland for the last 10 years before the move, and between all the relocations, Jamarcus Russell, bad coaching hire after bad coaching hire. I need that damn Super Bowl. LOL.
I hear you, yeah.
But another follow-up. Gabe, the guy who's walking barefoot. He said, I grew up going to Old Wet and Wild. My feet are numb. All right, so he's not gonna feel the 3rd degree burn. So it makes it a little bit easier. There you go.
I would love to know. I would love to know what the reaction is 3 days after that Super Bowl win. And you start looking around.
Where's my feet?
No, where you, not him, not him. Where you start looking around and trying to find the Giants on the tube.
Yeah. You can't do that.
Or the Warriors game.
It's like magically just erased.
It's all blocked out.
Yeah, it's just erased.
You can't see it.
You can't
at that point, you got to go to the old NFL Network and hope that you got some reruns of your Raiders season.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering at that point where's the regret? Because going back to what Bill Parcells once said, so famously so and so rightfully so. Losing hurts more than winning feels good. And so there's that. And he also told that story about walking off the field after a huge win, quote unquote. And he goes, I didn't even get from the sidelines to our tunnel before I'm already thinking about the next one and the next game. And I'm like, I can't even give myself a time to, some time to enjoy what just happened. So just think about that before you make your decision on what's it going to be like a week after that Super Bowl, after it happens, knowing what you gave up to get it.
It's a great quote. I do love that quote very, very much because I think it's extremely true. TJ in Montana. Tej in Montana doesn't. I'm not saying he's not a regular. He is a regular texter. Maybe not every single day, but when he does, always makes me chuckle.
Okay.
Since I don't have kids in my life, I'm willing to sacrifice someone else's firstborn for Raiders Super Bowl victory. To be honest, I'm surprised it took this long to get.
I was going to say, TJ said what a lot of people were thinking.
That baby, Tej. Tej, proud of you. Proud of you for being the one getting us to that moment. Oh, boy. Where'd it go? I had another one. Snake Man. Little pragmatism. To have almost 3 more decades of the blank show we've endured for a single Lombardi, give me consistent relevance and keep me entertained.
Thank you very much.
So it's not about the Lombardis. He just wants step one, relevance.
And consistent relevance, which should lead you to multiple chances and multiple bites at that apple. Rather that's the Raiders are actually the perfect question. Like if you're Raider 66, if you're listening, maybe you're the one who did this. Maybe you made this trade years ago, right? And now you're reaping the benefits of that trade. Maybe you said back in 1979, hey, just one more Raider championship, and I don't need or let's say 1983, one more. Let's do it this year. Let's go beat Washington and Joe Theismann, and I'm good for the rest of the time. Like if you were to go back, would you trade? Would you have made that trade right now, knowing what the misery that you've had to deal with since then? Because that's always going to be the possibility. If you trade one for irrelevance and insignificance or just the misery that you've experienced, I can't see how, if you put it in that perspective, your typical Raider fan or fan of any team would make that trade, as alluring as it is to get one more.
Martin on the text line is just I don't think he's playing the game properly. Martin on the text line. Vinny, are you ready?
Yes.
I want 3 Super Bowls starting with when it's in Vegas. End of text. Martin, you got to give something up. Like, I would like $10 million right now.
Martin said, I'm not about sacrificing anything, but give me the Super Bowls.
Martin.
Maybe what he's giving up is the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Maybe that's because I think we started off. Yeah, he's giving up.
What is he giving up?
He's giving up the one over the next couple of years for 3, starting with 2029.
That's not sacrifice.
Well,
that's a rebuild.
Oh man, Martin. I mean, I appreciate the conversation, Martin, and that gave me a good laugh. But maybe the toxic text
on you.
Maybe the toxic text just stopped, and he just sent it before the sacrifice came in. But you can't just. What do you mean? I want 3 Super Bowls starting when it's in Vegas. Well, yeah, that'd be cool. But, that's not the. That's not
right. I'm just going back to what I said. Would a 25-year-old Raider 66 in 1983? I don't know if that's where you are in your. Would a 25-year-old Raider 66 in 1983 trade off one more Super Bowl for everything that you've experienced since then?
That's fun. One more before we get to the final sit down.
And you have to think of it from that perspective, because that's what you're dooming Raider Nation to by taking one more, and then that's it.
Well, if you're PDX, I'm 58. Give me my Super Bowl. Michael says, good morning, gentlemen. Good show as always. Diehard Dodger fan, diehard Raiders fan since 79. I would gladly take the Super Bowl for the Raiders right now over my Dodgers winning again.
Oh, gosh.
Great
Such a
show, guys.
sacrifice.
Keep it up.
They've won like 8 straight. Oh, yeah.
I love how it's
yeah.
all the Dodger fans like, yeah,
I
go
know,
ahead,
exactly.
take it.
Yeah.
One more? Oh.
Where's
yeah.
Where's the Angels crossover sect of Raider
Right.
Nation to give up? Final sit downs next here on the tailgate.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
Oh, Paisan. Oh! Back up.
I'll talk to him about it.
I've been telling you for months now this guy's no good. I want to sit down.
All right. Answer the phone.
I want to sit down.
On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Oh!
It is the final sit down here on the Morning Tailgate. Big thanks to Alex Eshelman of KTNV, as well as all of Raider Nation for weighing in, having some fun with us here on a Friday. Making the most of the dog days of summer by having a little bit of fun. Because it is the time for the summer of fun trips, which the key word of the day is strong. Vinny, it's been a lot of fun. With this conversation, because again, these are the conversations I used to have as a kid with my friends, and to me that's kind of what it is about. It devolves into these different scenarios that we have gone into a ton of different directions. Raider 66 actually chimed in again. Didn't quite answer what you were saying, but he said, I'm gonna flip it. How about if the Raiders win a Super Bowl, you must watch soccer on a daily basis for a certain amount of time, or a certain sport you loathe. Maybe it's not giving something up. Maybe you have to now do something you don't want to do.
Okay, so let's just say for Notre Dame to win a championship, I would have to watch soccer.
You'd have to watch soccer 8 hours a day every day.
I mean,
that's 4 matches every day.
I'm not going to do it for the rest of my life, but I might do it for a period of time.
No, you don't get a say. You don't get a.
No,
it's either
hell
for
no. It ain't that important to me. No, I'm not going to watch soccer 8 hours a day for the rest of my life.
There we go. We found the threshold. See, this is Vinny. He's just trying to negotiate terms of before he signs the dotted line.
I'm not. I feel like this. I've gone 30 years without it. I'll survive. Another 30 years. But watching soccer 8 hours a day would literally be torturous. So I'm not going to do that.
T-Biz says, I live in Charlotte. Been a Raiders fan longer than any sport, but I love FSU and college football. Also, Lakers and Rays. I still wouldn't give up any other teams to see the Raiders win. It's coming anyway without me doing that.
Exactly. That was how I was.
Well, not in this scenario, T-Biz. In this scenario, it's never happening unless you do this.
I was literally going to end the show on my end by saying you don't have to make this decision because I truly believe. I truly believe.
And then all of Raider Nation goes, "Oh, okay."
Everyone
we'll carry on our day then.
But I truly believe that this thing is getting ready to turn the corner. It might take a year or so, and I'm not saying that they're going to win a Super Bowl within the next 3 years. I'm not saying that. But I think in terms of that relevance that Raider fans have been itching for, and I'm talking about consistent, not every 10 years or something like that, which is kind of what the average has been. I'm talking about consistently when teams start looking around, when 31 other teams start looking around, they're going to go, that team in Las Vegas is a team that we got to be aware of again and again and again. I think you're getting to that point here pretty soon. I think the right leaders are in place. The right young quarterback is going to be in place. There's a lot of talent, young talent on this team. There's a lot of big plans for this team. So I think that be wary of making any kind of a hash and prisoner of the moment decision right now, because good days are coming.
All right, one more fun one, and then we'll end on a Raiders one. Hot Sauce Raider with a hot take. I'd be willing to sacrifice and give up enjoying In-N-Out burgers the rest of my life in exchange for a Lombardi trophy. Have a great weekend,
I would do that,
Nation.
Yeah, I could definitely sign off on that.
Michael agrees with you. I'd watch soccer for a whole season for a Raiders Super Bowl. There you go, Vinny.
Okay, a whole season. I'll give you 1 year. I'm just not doing it forever.
I got to squeeze one more in before you finish up there,
okay.
Vin. We can't let Martin go without his justification.
Oh, yeah, Martin did back in.
He did come back and tell us that he would give up his left arm, and he's a drummer. So Martin's willing to sacrifice.
No, Martin, you don't have to do that.
We're here to tell you don't have to do it now.
Don't have to do that, buddy.
Last text, and it'll be Raiders-centric for you, Vinny. In terms of picking Kirk over Fernando, in terms of the conversation from earlier this week, I should say, I think we need to remember it's not a decision they need to get right. There's not one right answer. We're getting ahead of ourselves a bit. What I mean is we have a brand new offense, brand new defense, a new head coach, 2 new quarterbacks, and a lot of new players. On one hand, you could say Kirk should be in control of the new experiment and asked to execute the offense, knowing there's a lot of wrinkles to work out. Quarterback play aside, it doesn't mean that Fernando isn't going to learn how to be a pro, how to prepare, how to execute from the sideline until he takes over midseason. He's smart, and Brady has stated he prefers this strategy for young quarterbacks. Same goes the other direction if Fernando started. It's important to remember they'll be growing, and all things will be positive moving forward. In either case, no wrong answer unless we stop moving forward.
Yeah, well, the premise though was that he wouldn't play at all. It would be 9 wins for Kirk, and Fernando doesn't see the field short of an injury or something like that.
Yeah.
So halfway through the season, I would be okay with that. You know, I'd prefer it to be the first game of the season. I just look at Bo Nix. Did Bo Nix to me? It seems like there's this fearfulness of it. What happens if he gets crushed? Well, that didn't happen to Bo Nix. He started his first year. I mean, Caleb Williams, Drake May started the majority of his first year. Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, like that's what I'm saying. Like there's plenty of positive outcomes for guys that started the majority, if not the entirety of their rookie year.
Hey, Raider Nation, we love you. We appreciate you, and we thank you. Great stuff today, Connor. You're the man. Vinny Bonsignor, you have a great weekend, my friend. From all of us here at Raider Nation Radio 920, we thank you. We appreciate you. We want you all to have a great day. And, hey, you don't have to give up anything. The Raiders are on the up and up. Take solace in that. Have a great weekend. We are back here on the Morning Tailgate next week.